Joseph Green, welcome to Kickin Gags.
Thanks for having me, Phoenix.
Good to see you, man. I haven't
too,
seen you in a little while. We were just talking about off air. We were going through our Zero Hanger rookie rankings. Sheezel has just been dethroned by Ashcroft. I don't know when this is going to come out. I think it'll be a couple of weeks from now, but
Sheezel will be back on top.
He will be. He's like one of the best. I went to the D's North Melbourne game a few weeks back, which didn't end. It didn't end well for you guys, but unreal. Like he's just so composed for a first year player. Like,
he's incredible.
Yeah,
they should make him captain within the next 3 years.
3 years. Okay.
I don't even think that's that crazy. He'd be like 21, 22.
Yeah.
But they just need him as captain.
Yeah.
He's just, with all due respect to Lukey and Jai, he's just at another level.
Yeah.
Him and LDU and Georgie.
Yeah.
That's really going to be what brings us up.
I'll admit
I'm a North Melbourne supporter.
Yes, if that wasn't clear. Yeah. But I didn't know who Luke McDonald was until like this year. Like I knew who he was, but I didn't know he was captain. I knew like maybe like 4 things about him. Yeah. And then I went to the AFL Captain's Day and we interviewed him and stuff. And he was a really nice bloke. But I was just like, you are the most generic looking AFL player that I've ever seen.
He's
but lovely man. But
he's a handsome lad at the right angle.
Yeah, no, he is. But I mean, you were just about to strip the captaincy from him, so
no, I definitely was. Not about to. I would do it in a heartbeat. I mean, I love Luke. I mean, I don't know Luke, except I used to live on Arden Street and Errol Street.
You're kidding?
And
okay.
There's a pub. I think it's the Limerick Hotel.
Right.
And it's on Arden Street, the same street as our footy ground. And sometimes the players would come in there. And this was years ago, so no knock on Luke, but he would come in there a bit.
Yeah.
And I feel bad for bringing this up, but he would just bet on the Dogs. And I'm like, it's like, I'm so much older than him. Or not so much older, but I'm a little bit older than him.
Yeah.
And I kind of look up to him though, in a way. That's the weird thing when you're in your 30s and you're still inside like a little boy looking up to these players. But you realize, my idols are like 10 years younger than me.
Yeah.
And at midday, they're like betting on greyhounds.
It's real, you really grow up when you realize that your hero is younger than you. I physically look up to AFL players, so I sort of get away with it. Yeah. Like when I interview AFL players, they're all like 10 feet taller than me. So like
AFL players have been here in this.
No. I have to go to them. I can't bring him in here, Joey. No, I will eventually.
It's a nice spot for
no, it's not bad. But so I went down to like the Captain's Day and I've done a couple of events where I have to interview them and it is. So I still kind of get that little boy thing going where I'm just like, oh, you are a superstar, Christian Petrarca.
Oh yeah.
But
is he your captain?
No.
Yeah.
Our captain is Max Gawn.
Yeah. Of course,
yeah.
Mate, he's the captain's captain.
Yeah, right.
That's the thing. I mean, I love Luke McDonald, but Max Gawn is like, he is just the aspirational embodiment of what you would love in a captain.
Yeah. And like a real modern type captain too.
Yeah, and he's funny, he's silly, he's a bloody good player, he won a premiership. I mean, everyone loves a winner, so it's easy to jump on that bandwagon after the fact.
Yeah. So how did you start? I do have some backstory, but like how did you start as a North Melbourne supporter? That's a family thing, right?
It is a family thing. I don't know what your research has been or...
I do remember when you posted this at the time.
Yeah, okay.
But your grandfather played 1 game.
Yeah, he did.
For the Kangaroos?
Maybe 2. Apparently... He says it's... I don't know why he would exaggerate this. He says, I definitely played 2, but officially they've got him down as 1. But he's like, it was definitely 2. Like, but they had me down as someone else for that game. I mean, it would be a crazy thing to lie about. But they have him, even on their official records, as playing 1 senior game.
Yeah. Gordon Green?
Gordon Green.
Yeah.
I don't know what year that would have been, in 30s or 40s. Maybe everyone was at the war and he was like kicking it. But I do believe he's the oldest ex-North Melbourne player. Maybe. And he might...
living.
Yeah, he might even be one of the oldest AFL players still living.
Right.
Or VFL.
Right.
He's 98, 99. He just turned 99.
Oh, geez. Okay. Yeah.
Yes.
And how's it going?
He's going all right. He's very fragile.
Yes.
But he's cognizant and coherent.
So does he still like talk about that one game? Like, has he got that down to like a science, that story of him playing one game?
He's not. Not so much actually.
Right.
Maybe he didn't do much. There's much to talk about. But he's very like engaged with footy on a week-to-week basis.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Does he read Zero Hanger?
He will now, won't he? Imagine that. Like, that's how his life ends.
Yeah.
Zero hanger. The oldest Shin-boner still alive. And that's how it ends for him, just seeing his grandson on the Zero Hanger podcast. and that being enough.
Yeah.
Happy in his heart. Like, finally, I can rest in true peace. I don't even have to wait for a North Melbourne premiership. I can leave this mortal coil.
Well, he would have seen a couple in the 90s.
Oh yeah, of course he saw a couple.
Yeah. So when were you? Did you go to one?
Yeah, both.
Oh, really?
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah,
How's that?
Oh man, the ecstasy.
Yeah.
That we all long for.
Oh, could only imagine.
I even with my right hand, Phoenix, I even touched the Premiership Cup in '99 when Johnny Longmire came to the boundary and held it aloft to the masses, and I was like getting squashed and like, on your horse. And I just remember feeling like I was so squashed I couldn't even like, my vision had been obscured.
Yes.
But I could feel it like Braille reading premiers on my right index finger.
Oh my God. So that was 99?
Yeah, I would have been like 13, 14 years old.
Yeah, God. Yeah, that.
And I saw the I saw the 98 loss.
Right.
We kicked 2-12 to halftime.
Mm-hmm.
And we were up by 24 points at halftime against Adelaide, and in the second quarter we'd kick 2-12.
Right.
In the second quarter, and I just remember thinking 12 behinds in a quarter, that could be costly.
Yeah.
Like if we don't win from here,
it's not ideal.
Like 12 behinds will be like, they'll be ruining that. And then Jarman ran over the top of us.
Right.
And then going even further back, my first like heartache in my life, romantic or otherwise, was in 1994. And I was there, the prelim against Geelong.
Right.
Where we led most of the game. Mickey Martin had contained Gary Ablett to maybe 0 goals or maybe 1 goal. And then in the second last kick of the game, Lee Tudor just got this shank left punt that just floated over Mickey's hand and into Ablett's paw, scores a level. He marked, siren went, and then he kicked this goal, and I was so sad. I was with my dad, and he knew I was grieving, like just weeping there, and we let the whole MCG like leave.
You just stayed.
Yeah, we stayed. Like we know each other a little bit. I don't know. Yeah. But like, if you've ever experienced this, so dramatic, like such a grief,
poetic, I'm telling you,
such a grief that like like I can't move. Like, no human being in history has experienced this sort of grief, and just your body, like I can't walk now. Yeah, and that's how I felt as like an 8-9-year-old.
Yeah, 8-9-year-old. I was gonna say,
watching Gary Ablett just
destroy all your dreams.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I've had like home and away games where I've just like Melbourne have just gotten belted, and I'd never leave a game early, but like there's been some losses where I've just stayed there just because I didn't have the energy to get up.
They're demoralized.
Yeah.
I mean, they're like, but when you see a team get demoralized like that, like North have in the last few years, it's
in the last few weeks.
No, man, in the last few weeks we've kind of been competitive.
Right. Yeah.
That's not. It's just for the record. There's some hope there.
There is.
Especially Brett Ratton's like, since he's been caretaker, there's some real positives. Anyway, I'm just saying what they're all saying. But do you? This seems like a strange digression, but do you ever watch the TV show Black Mirror?
I do. Yeah,
like,
I haven't seen the latest season.
So, I mean, a lot of them are so dark.
Yeah.
This season, no exception, and they even feel particularly bleak.
Yeah.
In this current season.
Right.
And that's what it's like, I think, to see North Melbourne or Melbourne in their era.
Yeah.
When they're just getting pumped.
Yeah.
Like what it must be for like West Coast last week.
Yeah.
100. That's particularly bad.
That's like I forgot what that felt like. Because all of that happened, like the Melbourne, the 186, like back in Geelong when we got belted.
You lost by 186?
Yeah, dude. Wait, hang on. I don't know if that was the margin or the total score. No, I think that was the margin.
186 was the margin.
Yeah. You don't remember that? Down at Goodinyu Park? I think it was
Why would I want to remember
2013. Yeah. I mean, I remember it. That's just a formative memory. Like that changed me as a person, I think. That changed my life.
Were
my
you
life.
there?
No. God, no.
Change your life.
How
old were you at the time?
So I was born in 93.
Yeah.
And then my AFL knowledge, I came online in 2000, that 2000 grand final where the D's lost to Essendon. Yeah. And then for some reason, when we started really going downhill, like in 2000 and probably started 2010, that's when I really started following footy.
How long were you down for?
Oh, I mean...
Because I actually didn't live in Melbourne from 2010 to like 2013, 2014.
Okay.
So I probably, forgive me for not remembering.
That's all right. So maybe, I don't want to get it wrong, but I would say so late 2000s, around 2008, we started declining. And then 2011 to 13 were probably the worst years that we've ever had as a club.
Yeah.
That was when we went through like...
3 wooden spoons or what happened?
No, because that's also like Gold Coast and GWS came in. So that was our only saving grace. I think 2012,
insulated you.
We won 2 games and that was against GWS and Gold Coast. Otherwise we would have been...
That's depressing.
Yeah.
They're just propping you up from complete humiliation.
Yeah. And then 2013 is when we got belted by Geelong. And then I think 2014 is when Roosie signed on. And then that was 3 years of Roosie.
The saviour.
Yeah. While we're talking about... so that whole... that one loss, and then the media circus around that being like, this is the lowest point of the club, whatever. I'd forgotten what that felt like having that in the zeitgeist until like last week when West Coast got belted. But...
People don't feel sorry for West Coast.
No, because
they won a premiership.
Yeah, they're like the richest club. Ago.
Yeah. And I mean, people still on their waiting list to become a member. So they're going to be so fine.
It's just, I think it was that type of loss that I've never, I've forgotten what that was like.
It almost feels merciful that North Melbourne didn't experience to that degree. We've had a couple of 100-pointers.
Yeah.
But it's never like...
They're never great.
Yeah, 100 points is pretty like demoralizing.
Yeah.
But how did it actually, you said it changed you. How did it change the psyche of Phoenix?
Because I had that was like one of the darkest things that's ever happened to me, I guess, at the time. I've had a pretty good upbringing. So like that was like, that's the only, I mean, in a football sense, that's just like the darkest thing that I've ever witnessed. But yeah, I think it like have you ever met a St Kilda fan? Like I think Seren Jayamana said that they just have a different vibe to them. They're institutionalized losers.
Their aura is changed.
Yeah.
I'll tell you who's got, I'm kind of doing his bit, but he's got this great story, Matt Stewart.
Yes.
Have you spoken to him?
He was the second guest that we had.
Oh, he was?
Yeah.
Did he tell this story?
Was it about Lockett?
No, about the bets.
No, he didn't.
Bets that he put on. He didn't tell this?
No.
Oh, it's one of my favorite things just ever. It's so funny.
Is it a story that he would have wanted to...
I'm surprised he didn't share it.
Yeah.
So can I share it?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
So he's a mad St Kilda. Matt Stewart's a mad St Kilda supporter.
Yeah.
And for those who don't know, I'm assuming you do, they just lose.
Yeah.
Particularly grand finals, not premierships. They don't win any premierships, unfortunately for them. But they... they've been in like 2 or 3 grand finals in the like 2000s.
Yeah.
After 2 or 3 losses, and also the late 90s as well, 1 or 2.
Yeah.
And so I guess Matt had seen maybe 4 grand final losses.
Yes.
And he had resolved to himself in maybe 2009 or 10, if we're in another grand final, I can't take these losses. I'm going to put $1,000 on our opposition beating us. So even if we lose, I'll make anywhere between $500 and $2,000.
Right.
And that will just mitigate the brokenheartedness of the day. And so 2009, I think he comes up with that resolution in his own mind. And then in 2010, St Kilda made the grand final again.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
And they play Collingwood in the grand final. Puts $1,000 on Collingwood. And it's the first drawn grand final in like 35 years.
Does that pay out?
Of course not. He loses it. There are 3 possible outcomes. Win, lose, or draw.
Oh, Matt.
He put it all on a Collingwood win and he lost. And then, I don't know if this is true. I think he was like, oh my God, that's the universe speaking to me.
Yeah.
He's like, I should never bet against my team. So he goes the next week all in on St Kilda. I got to commit to my club. He puts 1,000 on St Kilda and Collingwood pump him the next week.
I mean,
He loses a couple of grand.
That's like,
And St Kilda loses another grand.
that's just not a smart bet. Even like, because if
It's
you watch
beautiful.
that drawn
It's
grand
beautiful.
final, they would definitely, they'd put everything into that.
I'm not a betting man, but I know that obviously betting agencies, sports bet, they just are so prolific.
Yeah.
And it's sort of disconcerting how powerful they are.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're sponsoring this or not.
They run ads on Saranga, but it's fine.
But I remember just I don't usually bet, but in like 2020 in the lockdowns, you like you sing footy there was like 3 weeks, sing footy every day. And they're always trying to get you with like good deals.
Yeah.
And I remember North were like bottom, I think second last around that time. And the government had a thing where they would give you access to early super.
Oh,
right?
no. Yeah.
And Brisbane was first or second on the ladder kind of mid-season 2020.
Mm-hmm.
North were playing Brisbane in Queensland.
Yeah.
And they were paying like $1.05.
Right.
And I thought, that's 5%.
Yeah.
And they are guaranteed to win. 5% of $10,000, that's $500.
Yeah.
Why do I not just get my access to my early super?
Yeah.
I'll get an easy 500.
Yeah.
Easy. And you don't have anybody to talk to. And you're like, of course, this makes so much sense.
Yeah.
And I remember just ringing my brother, running it by him. Gee, bro, that's a bit risky. Imagine if you lose 10K. And then I like looked into the process of accessing it. And it was mainly all the bureaucracy that you had to navigate to get it. Then I'm like, oh, I can't be bothered.
Yeah.
And so I didn't get the 10 grand. I didn't put it on the game. But then I go to watch that game. North Melbourne lost by a point.
Oh.
We lost by 1 point. And I was having heart palpitations while watching it because I'm watching it going, this would be amazing if we were, but I was also kind of feeling sick.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, imagine if I put that bet on.
Yeah.
I would have been just like, I would have had a heart attack, an actual heart attack. And I didn't know what you believe in as far as like our interconnectedness with everything, but I felt it was like a butterfly effect moment because I'm like, I reckon if I put that bet on, it would have been another Matt Stewart. It would have just rippled the universe in such a way that North Melbourne won that game.
Yeah.
And I lost 10,000 of my super trying to make 500 in a lockdown.
I love that it's like the only thing stopping you from doing that was like filling out a form.
That was the only thing.
It's literally like it was way too easy to get access to your super, and then you could just do whatever you wanted with it. And like, yeah, I mean, have you laid a bet since?
No, I haven't.
Have you ever laid a bet?
I mean, I'm sure I have.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually the first bet I ever put on was like as a kid. When I learned of the concept of betting, I'm like, oh, how does this work?
Was it with Luke McDonald on the Dogs?
Hey? No. See, I was an adult by that time. But when I was a kid, and Dad said, oh, you bet on a team to win. Some teams pay more than others. And sometimes you can bet on like the margin, like over a certain amount. Yeah. And for whatever reason, I remember betting on a game that wasn't a North Melbourne game. It was like a Carlton-Essendon game. And, but you had to be like over 23 points or under 23 points, something like that. And I got the bet right. Yeah. I'm like, oh, Carlton are going to win this by more than 23. Or, and I got it. And it was back in the day, like at the TAB where they'd give you like the piece of paper. Scrunch you up and then you go, yeah, here it is. And they give you money. And so I won the bet and Dad was like, let's go and collect your winnings. I'm like, sure. And I wanted it to be, it scrunched up a bit, the paper, and I wanted it to be really like crisp when I presented it at the TAB. So I'm like, okay, just I had it in my mind. It would be nice if it's crisp. I don't want to give it scrunched up. It doesn't feel like a winner to me. I want it to feel like a winner. So I said, yeah, I'll just be with you in a sec. And my dad, working, wearing a suit and shirt and stuff, he'd often iron his shirt. And in the laundry, he had the iron board out. So I'm like, I know what I, and I just put the ticket on the ironing board, got the iron, and just put it straight over the ticket. And then it made it pitch black. Just crisped it.
Why would you do that?
And I just burst into tears. And my dad must have been so relieved because he came in and I was like holding the iron like, and he was like, holy shit, drop the iron. He was sure that I'd like just placed it on my skin. He's like, what's wrong? Where are you burned? Where am I burned? I'm like, the ticket. I burned the ticket. He's like, what's wrong with you? He's like, but you're not burnt, you're okay. I'm okay with the ticket. The $20.
Yeah, I mean, football can change the course of your life, as I was talking about.
I've been an idiot for a long time. That's the takeaway from that story.
Look, I'm glad you don't bet.
Yeah, so I don't. I shouldn't. I mean, it never works out well for me.
Yeah.
Even when I win, I find out a way to lose.
Yeah, I mean, I don't bet either, but it is exhausting, just all the ads and stuff. Which I probably shouldn't say because we do get sponsored,
of course,
by them on the web. But it's that's just part of it, man.
It is part of it.
Yeah,
they've got so and the TV rights. I don't know if this is something you guys discuss or surely you've got an opinion, but I feel this is on the players' wages.
Okay, yeah.
Do you have some opinions on that?
I will whenever. You go first.
Well, I don't know. Like I mean, it'd be great to work at the AFL, but because they're just looking after each other so crazily, like
boys club.
There's 12 blokes in there earning a 7-figure plus salary.
Yeah,
and when you look at other sports, whether it's the Premier League, NBA, obviously these are bigger sports worldwide, but even the NRL, which is a smaller sport than the AFL.
Yeah,
just looking at the percentage of profits that the competition makes that the players have access to.
Yeah.
So in the NBA, for example, 50%. In Premier League, there's a few more moving parts.
Yeah.
But it equates to between 45 and 50.
Yeah.
NRL, 42.
Yeah.
So if you're like, oh, that's different, NRL's 42.
Yeah.
Do you know what the AFL is?
I'm gonna assume it's a lot lower.
It's 27.
Yeah.
And that has gone up.
Yeah.
Like that, the AFLPA were like, oh, this is crazy. We want more money. Like,
yeah.
How about 27%? Like, all right. And I'm just like, why are these guys not overhauling the hierarchy?
Yeah.
I don't know if it's an Australian thing that we regard ourselves as so like happy-go-lucky and like not caring, but also, and kind of anti-establishment, but at the same time, kind of very well behaved.
Yeah.
If we're like, no, you should be grateful.
Nobody rocks the boat. In AFL.
But that's a very Australian thing as well.
Yeah.
It's like, mate, why wouldn't you be happy, mate?
Yeah.
You're earning 200K, 300K.
Yeah.
That's such good money. But it's like, yeah, but if you get drafted, you should be like earning a great wage immediately, I think. If you're an AFL player and you're drafted into the system that has a TV rights deal that's $6 billion over 6 years, like, I didn't even know the Australian economy was that big. You're like, we have $6 billion in this country?
Well, do you know what blew my mind is when I found out that the AFL is a non-for-profit.
What?
Yeah, right?
What? Time out. I
swear to God.
What do you mean a non-for-profit?
It's a non-for-profit. It's classed as a not for profit or whatever. Yeah.
So there's a few interesting things about that. That entitles organizations. Well, that's interesting because I think if you're a non-for-profit, you don't have to disclose all your salaries.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. I don't know enough about it, and there's definitely people that work here that would be able to tell you all this sort of stuff.
It seems so dodgy.
I found out the otother maybe a few months ago
that just happens to take in $6 billion.
Yeah. And then I remember because like I started looking into it when Buddy signed that massive contract, and like everybody was making a huge deal about. I don't know if it was the first one, but it was touted as one of the first, like, oh, he's getting paid $1 million a year sort of things in AFL. And it's like, oh, wait, we weren't already doing that? Like, the amount of money that he brings in, like, the amount of people that he gets through the gate,
it's crazy.
Alone.
Yeah. I mean, look at when Andrew Demetrio was CEO, he was on like 2.5 million.
Yeah.
And this is maybe 2013, 2014. And Gary Ablett, he was like the best player in the league at the time.
Yeah.
He was on like 1 million.
Yeah.
And there is no other sport in the world where the
administrator,
the marquee player is getting not even half of one of the administration or the CEO. That's
it's crazy.
Something is not right there.
Yeah.
But why would the executives aren't going to like upset that apple cart?
Yeah. They're not going to rock that boat. Like, the players, because we have, I think in AFL, and this was going to be one of my questions later on, is like, I'm going to do a quick fire sort of thing later on, but I guess we're going to cover that in this. But like the AFL, like the whole AFL as a landscape, it just overreacts at the tiniest, like, rocking of the boat. Like Lumumba, like, was one of my favorite players.
Yeah.
And he rocked the boat in the tiniest way. He was just a little bit weird, and then he stood up for what he wanted, and the whole thing, like, everyone was against him for like whatever reason. Yeah. But really, if you really go back to what he said and all that, and it's like, it's not.
What did he
did nothing.
What did he say?
He was just kind of like, he was obviously, he had the racial tensions with Collingwood and all that stuff, the Do Better report, all that kind of stuff. But like if you compare that to what happens in sports, like on a larger scale and stuff, like that is such a tiny thing that gets.
I mean, good on him
to a huge
for
thing.
being true to himself. I mean, AFL. One thing that really pisses me off is when people are like, oh, just keep the politics out of it.
Yeah, it's
like, dude, you saying that is like you being a fish in the ocean saying, I don't believe in salt water. It's like, you're in it, right? Like, it's a political game.
Yeah.
There are men and women playing. It's race is a big issue in Australia as a whole, and also in the AFL. And sport is actually, like, one of the great things about sport is that it is actually political. Yeah. And so triggers so many people. And we haven't even seen that as much as we have in the last, 5 years or so.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think it's good because it really brings it out of like, but it also like reveals, it's very easy to say, look at how ugly AFL culture is or how AFL supporters are. You look at like the treatment of Adam Goods when he was really copying it, and you're like, that's just, it makes you sick. But then it's like, this is not just an AFL problem. This is like an Australian problem or like a global problem.
Footy is the vehicle that, like, is being used to drive the conversation around.
But just trying to be like, can we just keep politics here and sport there? It's like, mate, you don't get to do that.
You cannot. Yeah.
You can't have your cake and eat it too in that way. It's just part of it.
Humans have to play the sport, and humans are political.
Yes. Like, and if you really unpack it, you probably even the most bigoted person probably enjoys that about it. But is like, when it's upsets their own, outdated politics or beliefs that like discriminatory or whatever, like they don't want to, like, they want to keep it separate because it's like, oh, but football is like my comfort thing. That's where I'm safe. Yeah. It's like, no, everyone should be safe here. And now that these issues are coming out, and in parallel to the rest of society, you're a bit like uncomfortable. Yeah. And I think often we think as a society, oh, we've like progressed. Like, you think, I remember, like, because there's still never been a man come out and say they're gay.
No, and I remember you used to do a bit on stage about it.
Yeah. I did it in the special, like, recorded that bit.
We'll get to that, But
we'll get to that. the crazy thing about that, so many people when I perform that bit, because I say that at the start of the joke, that no man has ever come out and said they're gay in AFL. And it's the only sport in the world where that's the case. And so many times, I reckon like 1 in 5, people start having a conversation. No, that's not true. No, there've been AFL players playing, have been gay while they're playing. It's just never happened.
Yeah.
And you think, especially in a place like Melbourne, oh, we're so progressive. Like Melbourne loves to pat itself on the back. Oh, we're such a progressive, inclusive place. And maybe this is, I was going to say 2 or 3 years ago, but it was definitely pre-pandemic. It might have been 2019 or something. But there's some talkback radio, and the question was, if someone came out and said they're gay now, and they were from your club, what would you do? How would it make you feel? I'm like, why? Like, is that even an issue? Like, surely no one cares. Like, the game just goes on.
Yeah.
And then lo and behold, like, immediately you get a bloke calling up like, listen, mate, I've been a Hawthorn supporter for the last 40 years. And if any of those blokes came out and said they were gay now, I would cut up my membership.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, well, good, mate.
Yeah.
Let him, I hope it's from Hawthorn.
Yeah.
Because, like, we don't want you there.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I don't know. We've kind of digressed. But other than to say that AFL illuminates these things that are very, like, still in the psyche.
Yeah. They exist whether or not AFL exists or not.
Yes.
And AFL is just the vehicle that...
And magnifies it.
Yeah.
Really magnifies it.
Yeah.
So it's uncomfortable to look at.
Yeah.
Like, oh, we're still booing an Indigenous guy?
Yeah.
And be like, no, we don't actually like... You know, when he gets an imaginary spear, that's why. Oh, really?
Yeah,
oh, that's interesting. Okay. Good story.
So then as a North fan, how are you feeling about this whole Clarkson thing? And again, I don't know when this might be released in like a month's time from now. It might be a completely different landscape thing.
Yeah.
And you don't have to have an opinion on it.
No, I have an opinion.
Oh, go
of course
ahead,
of course I have an opinion. I mean, yeah, I feel it's really bad. The whole situation is really bad and really upsetting. And you just feel for the families before anyone. And yeah, I hate to say it, but like, I hope like he wouldn't have done anything intentionally where he thought it was bad. And we're just speculating here, but it seems like he probably did do things that he thought was well-intentioned that deeply offended them.
Yeah.
It seems that is highly likely.
Yeah.
And people don't like to, like, oh, it's just due process. Let's do the due process. But he probably still did something bad. And maybe a lot of us, myself included, might do something bad if we think we're doing the right thing. And we're like, okay, it's not okay, but it might be okay to be like, okay, let's acknowledge I did a shitty thing. I was trying to do better and I want to do better. So let me learn from it. And obviously we can look at the process and be like, well, that was a mess. That whole process should have been taken care of a lot better. I don't think anybody's disputing that. I mean, as a North Melbourne supporter, it was kind of just devastating because like blow after blow after blow. And then when we got Clarkson, it was just like,
everyone was so happy.
All our hope is on him. Yeah. And then like the bleakest thing ever, just, yeah, but it's just like, oh God, and the thing I feel as a North supporter, North's a great club. I love them, obviously, and maybe all AFL clubs are like this, but acknowledging when things are bad, like, and if things are not good. For example, in that situation, Sonia, who's a great president, done so many good things, but like I think as a club that they tried to be like, well, this isn't a North Melbourne issue. This is just like a Hawthorn issue, or like this has nothing to do with us. And it's the same thing we said before. It's like it's not just to do with North Melbourne. It's to do with the whole country or even the world. It's like we're in the soup. We're in the ocean. Like like it is to do with us as well. Yeah. And we're still part of the problem. We're still part of the solution, and can be and need to be. Anyway, so that's how I feel about that. Also, I mean, that's the Clarkson thing, just as a thing to North Melbourne generally. My own theory about North is that as far as acknowledging bad things, like the Wayne Carey affair of 1999. I mean, we're talking about heartbreaks in the 90s.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really the ultimate.
Yeah, right.
And I don't know if you know this. This is a good bit of trivia, though.
Yeah.
But
So just to give you context, I was pretty young when this whole thing happened.
You said you came into footy in 2000.
Yeah.
When did it happen? 2001, maybe.
Yeah. So
because we won the premiership.
I do remember it happening.
But you were just in your infancy as a football.
I don't even know if I would have fully understood.
Yeah,
you know.
and you were 8.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So, I was maybe 17 or 15 or 16.
Yeah.
But, and I loved Wayne Carey. My parents, I didn't even ask for this in the 90s, got me a Wayne Carey life-size cutout and just put it in my bedroom. Like, that's what I want. And even for me, who like posters of all the players, I was like, even this is a bit much. This feels like you're just there smiling. But and also I won a raffle as an 8 or 9-year-old to go to the North Melbourne BNF.
Yeah, right.
And I went with my mum, and we'd go to see them train once a month and get their photos, get an autograph. And I had a photo of me and Wayne at training.
Yeah.
And I went up to him as an 8-year-old and I said, Mum, I've got to get this signature. And this is like 94-ish. So 95, like Carey has been captain a few years.
Yeah, he's a king.
He's the king.
Yeah.
And it required all my courage to go up to him and be like, listen, Wayne, can you sign this photo?
Yeah.
He's like, sure, mate. He's about to sign it. There's a picture of me and him. And just before he signs it, Mum says, oh, no, Wayne, please not on the photo, on the back if you could. He's like, yeah, sure. And he signs it on the back. And I'm just like, thank you. And I walk back to the table with Mum. She's like, what's the matter, sweetheart? You should be so happy. Wayne just signs your photo, mate. Mum, I want it on the photo. She's like, well, why didn't you say something? I'm like, well, I did. I presented it to him. And then you said something. You're like, well, just go back. Just ask him again. I'm like, can't you just ask him again? It's literally the king. And then again, I waited like an hour and a half.
Yeah.
And then I went again. I was like, let him have a few beers. Maybe he'll forget about the 7-year-old boy that's like interrupted his dinner wearing a pink bow tie. Maybe he'll forget that. Yeah, I went back to him again. Pink bow tie, little vest. And Mum's like, you want me to come? I'm like, no. Maybe he won't remember if you're not there. G'day, Wayne. Just wondering if you could sign this photo. And he'd had a few beers. He's like, mate, haven't I signed this? I'm like, no. And then he turned around. He's like, yeah, I have signed it. Your mum asked me on the back. I'm like, I'd actually like it if you signed it on the front. He's like, why didn't you say something? He signed it. So now somewhere I've got this photo with 2 Wayne Carey.
2 Wayne Carey
signatures.
Yeah. I wonder what that's worth now.
Oh, God. But 2001, he breaks all our hearts. He has an affair with his best mate's wife.
Yeah.
At Glen Archer's house.
Yeah.
Just insane stuff.
Just with everyone there.
And this is the crazy stat I was about to share before we just keep digressing. Keep digressing. Is that the biggest media event, news item in the Herald Sun's history is September 11th. No, that's the second biggest. I fucked this story up because now you know where it's going. September 11 is the second biggest news item in the Herald Sun's history. The day after, I think it was like 80 pages out of like 96 pages had something to do with September 11th on 80 out of 96. And then when Wayne Carey had the affair, it was like 84 pages. In the Herald Sun the next day had something about the affair. Yeah. Like that's how much they knew that the Melbourne people would just eat that up.
Fuck.
And it hurt the club so much. And I know from a player's perspective and a club's perspective, I mean, they lose one of the greatest players of all time. The start, like 2 weeks before the first round. So they're like, well, we got a season to play.
Yeah.
We got to push forward. We can't be like, oh, this has fucking broken us. And I think we scraped into finals that year.
Yeah.
You know, good on them. But it hurt the club so much. They never wanted to acknowledge this was, and condemn the behavior and say, this hurt us, this was wrong.
Yeah.
And this was bad.
Yeah.
And we just didn't talk about it. It just like in North Melbourne groups, I mean, it comes up sometimes, people arguing, but like North Melbourne as a company, as a business, wouldn't acknowledge it for years until they just thought, oh, we got to bring him back in. Like 5 years ago when we had we gave Archer Shin-boner of the century.
Ooh.
And it was like, this is the Shin-boner of the century. But when they did the list of best players of all time, just bring that, and they want it because they've got one of the best players ever. They think it's in our best interest to just bring him back into the fold. But I feel like it would be better for the players, better for the supporters, better for the club as a whole if they said, listen, what happened on this occasion was completely unconscionable. Yeah. It goes against everything we value, everything we represent, and what we want and value in players and teammates and a community. And this is not us. Yeah. And it hurt us. And I mean, and then some healing begins, truly. Because otherwise you're just sweeping it under the carpet. And you're just trying to move a club on that is just fucking broken at its core. And then you're just trying to like stopgap for the next 20 years. And then you got someone like Boomer Harvey, like, oh, maybe we're moving on. Brad Scott takes us to a few prelims. Yeah. And then it's like, he's not invested in North Melbourne. Yeah. He gets rid of Harvey when he's still got a few seasons to play. And I still bring that to the Wayne Carey thing. Like, it's just creating a precedent for how do we treat our players? Yeah. And how do we treat each other? Yeah. And how do we acknowledge when things have gone wrong? And if there's any like common theme, this is not so funny anymore, is it? But it's like, I mean, I feel like I need that as a North Melbourne supporter, that healing, that deep healing. Like, and I feel like a lot of my Shin-boner brethren who went through that feel a little bit the same. And it's Wayne Carey, I mean, he's not in the media now, as you know, but I don't know if you know this, but he recently released a podcast.
Oh, yeah, that dude's been tweeting like the whole time.
Oh, has he?
Yeah.
Duck has. Yeah.
Okay. He's leaned into the heel thing now. So he like...
The healing?
No, the heel, as in like, say you're in wrestling, when you're the heel, you're like the villain. Like a Kane calls you something. Yeah. God. So he's like leaned into that.
Here I am just being like, so like holistic. Oh, he's leaned into the healing? No.
No.
Dude, there's another world that you don't know about. I'm such an idiot. His second, or like one of his early guests was Dennis Pagan.
Right.
And Dennis Pagan said, oh, what would have been really nice if you just said sorry. And Carey says, didn't even occur to me.
Fucking hell.
And it's like, oh. And I mean, on one level, that's like, so you're crazy. Yeah. And it's in another level, it's like, oh, what happened to you? Like, you probably need to be hugged. You probably need to be taken care of. Yeah. We all do, but fuck, you just us North Melbourne people, mate. We're delicate.
That's just like the most.
Now you can know why I'm pinning it all on Harry Sheezel.
This is who you are, though. Like this is like that's the best summation. That whole 20-minute rant or whatever that was is the most like. I feel like I know who North Melbourne are now. Like, because I've talked to a lot of North Melbourne fans before, but I've never heard that perspective, and that I'm like, okay, that feels like that's the essence of what a real North Melbourne supporter is.
Yeah, but it permeates the thing that you don't want to, and even the Clarkson thing, we don't want to acknowledge like that this is as bad as it is. Yeah. And that's, I feel like starts with that Carey thing. And to show like an example of like a counterpoint. Look at Richmond and how Brendan Gale led them in the last 10 years. Yeah. And not many people know this because it's like, why should it be popular? But I don't know if you know a woman called Brené Brown, but she's
rings a bell.
An American psychologist, academic, and her main area of focus is vulnerability. and embracing femininity and your vulnerability and it making you a more holistic person and things of this nature. For whatever reason, someone on the Richmond board got this woman who lives in Texas to come to Melbourne to stay for like 6 weeks and work with the players on vulnerability.
Right.
And just what it means to embrace your vulnerability as a human being, how that empowers you more just as a person. And when you're empowered from that deeper place, accepting the whole of who you are, all your shame, or your trauma, all of the things you don't want people to know, then your ability and capacity to connect with other people is increased. And your connective tissue and your synergy with the people you're working with is higher. Because when we're not shaming each other, we're acknowledging you've got this, but we're here together. And they got this woman who specializes in this to come and teach like guys like Dusty on vulnerability for 2 months.
Yeah.
And it's that sort of like, that's not part of the manual of how to run a good football club.
Yeah.
And it's never been, it's still not really. It's more of these ideas are seeping into the psyche for sure. But that is like a true innovation that is necessary. And when you take risks like that, look, behold the kingdom grow. You've got a 3P.
Yeah.
And like a club that when you think of Richmond, you think, yeah, they're really strong.
Yeah.
It feels like a safe place to be just emotionally.
Yeah.
They feel connected.
Everyone looks like they're having the time of their life.
The best time.
Yeah.
And this thing of, I mean, it sounds like airy fairy, but you unpack it and there's a lot of other issues we won't even, I mean, I keep digressing. I'm so sorry. But like happening at North, that there's like shame around these things. How do we deal with these things? And it's like having someone like that at North, I mean, probably, I don't know how much it costs Richmond to do that, but
yeah,
a lot of money.
They've got the funds.
They do, but yeah, there just needs to be healing, a little bit of healing at Arden Street and for the players. And anyway, I've gone way too long on that.
All right, now I'm going to hit you with some vulnerability.
Yeah.
This is the most that I can offer you, but I feel like it's been too long, and I just need to ask a North fan or somebody that knows.
Yes.
What the fuck is a shin-boner? Like, I don't know. I don't get it. It sounds super silly.
It does.
And I don't know I don't know the story behind it.
So the ethos of it is courage, being like playing for your teammate, just putting your body on the line.
Yeah.
Never say die attitude, I guess, and just like a toughness.
Yeah.
But there are 2 stories I've heard, at least, that is the genesis story of.
So is it one of those things where there's not like a clear origin story?
Yeah. So there's 2 that I've heard posited.
Okay.
One that either North Melbourne players got their shins kicked, or kicked shins, or had harder shins to kick than other football players. They're like, oh, these shins are pretty fucking sturdy. These boys at Arden Street, they're the shin-boners. That was one. And then maybe even from that is that butchers, for whatever reason in North, to celebrate wins, would put out shin bones, like dangling on
shin bones from like
from meat. From
like,
I don't know, cow or something. Whatever.
Cows have shins?
Don't they have shins?
I don't know.
I reckon they've got shins.
I don't know what's happening.
They got 4 legs. What's the part of their leg?
The front of the leg. Okay.
Yeah, that's a shin.
Yeah. Okay. Yep.
They would just put the shin of a cow, I guess.
Yeah.
And dangle them there to celebrate the victories. And who knows why they did that.
Yeah.
But that's another urban myth I heard.
Yeah. Okay.
Of how the shin-boner like tag imprinted itself in the psyche.
Well, I feel like I've never gotten a full answer to like.
It's one of those things where there almost isn't one.
Yeah, like
someone said it at a pub one day and it just caught on.
Yeah. All right, Joey, we are going to wrap up in like 5 minutes, but we're just going to do a last couple of things. So, this has been great, by the way.
Oh, mate, I've loved it.
So much
I didn't
fun.
realize I was into football this much. I was like, shit, I really care about this guy.
Man. It's so silly. All right, so we're just gonna do some quick Quickfire, word association.
Oh, sure.
Or just like answer as quick as you can. First thing that comes to your mind.
Yep.
Ready?
Yep.
All right, cool. Best moment as a North fan.
Longmire. Premiership Cup.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Worst moment as a North fan.
94 prelim.
Yeah.
Geelong after the siren. Gary.
Okay, so not the Carey thing.
I just as a fan, like, because it was so... The Geelong thing was really visceral because I was there and I was watching it happen.
Okay.
And, I mean, it seems crazy, but like the stakes of going into a grand final seems like that's like the highest stakes.
Yeah.
The Carey thing was like almost just like you saw it in the paper and you thought, is this true?
Yeah.
And it's just like people like teasing me about it at school.
That's a longer burn too.
Yeah, and it's just like surely something is, you know, I would have read all those 84 pages of the Herald Sun. Like, where's the truth?
Yeah.
Where's the truth?
Yeah.
I mean, that's the most devastating. What was the question?
Worst moment. Just worst moment.
Yeah, but I would still say like that the most devastating thing was the Carey thing.
Yeah.
And so maybe from that you should infer that or imply that.
But you truly lived that moment. You were there at the game for that.
Yeah, I was there seeing it. And I was like kind of on the flank or pocket seeing it like 50 meters away. So it just felt like,
I'll take that.
Yeah.
Most underrated North player?
Oh,
I've got him on this one.
Paul Curtis.
Paul Curtis?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know why they don't play him immediately every week. He's so strong.
Okay.
He's like such a good mark. I don't know how tall he is, maybe 5'9", 5'10".
Right.
But he plays like 6'3". He's good overhead. He can take pack marks. Apparently benches is like 140. But he's a good dynamic player. Maybe 40th or 50th in the draft 2 years ago.
Right.
But he's great. Very underrated because we've got so many early draft picks.
Yeah.
He doesn't get so much. But I think North value him, and I know the diehard supporters really value him as well.
Yeah. Okay. AFL player with the best just overall vibe.
I said tie for me between Jack Riewoldt and Max Gawn.
Jack Riewoldt?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. He did win a lot of people over. I think early career, not a lot of people liked him, but since that good Tiger energy started
I'd say
happening.
just like since I've seen him more in the media.
Yeah, he's
I'm
great
like,
on 360.
He's great.
Yeah.
He's so good and he's smart and he's funny.
Yeah.
And he's I think I like seeing players that are funny.
Yeah.
And Max Gawn and Jack Riewoldt probably like have made me laugh the most.
Okay.
So I'm probably basing it on that.
There is going to be
it's funny.
Okay, yeah. So AFL player with the worst overall vibe.
Oh, that seems so hard.
And vibe isn't necessarily negative. It's just like someone that might just be boring or you just wouldn't hang out with them.
I mean, it's so cliche to say Jason Horne-Francis because I don't even think that, but he did come to my mind.
Yeah.
And I've still,
that's the answer. Then.
I've still got a badge of his in my bedroom, if that's a consolation. Like,
you do the badges?
well, because I was like, I'm like a top tier member of North, like not a top tier membership anymore.
Yeah,
but. When I think they like sent out as soon as we drafted him badges to the type of member that I was.
Wow.
Like here's a memorabilia of Jason Horne-Francis straight away. So I got this like badge, and I'm just like it's so weird to be like a grown man wearing a badge of an 18-year-old boy on your breast. Like, oh, who's this young man? He's just an elite athlete.
All right. So AFL player or personality that you think could be a comedian, like could actually do stand up.
Maybe Maxi.
Yeah.
Maxi Gawn for sure. Yeah.
He's a great answer. And like if you've seen him retell that story of him kicking that after the siren winner, against Geelong.
That was great. He was so funny in that.
Yeah.
Or retelling the story.
Yeah. I've seen him retell it on like 5 different podcasts.
Oh, really?
And he's got it down to a T. Like he knows all the beats.
That's so funny.
It's a whole.
I haven't even seen it. I'll have to look that up.
Yeah, it's a whole.
You know what's?
Bit.
I mean, I'm guessing you've seen this as well. He got interviewed immediately after that game, immediately after that moment, and at some point in the interview, they like, okay, we're going to cut away. He's like, whoa, we're cutting away. I just kicked the winning goal. Like, what are you doing? Surely you want to stay with me a little bit longer. Come on. And he's like, oh, what a legend.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, he's good value.
He is.
Yeah.
All right. Second favorite team?
Richmond.
Most hated team?
Adelaide.
Oh.
Just because of the 98 grand final.
Yeah.
See, I think seeing your team lose a grand final, I've only seen us lose one.
Yeah.
I just hated them from that moment. I'm like, yeah.
Okay, that burns in there. And last question, what is the biggest issue in the AFL at the moment?
It's probably like Indigenous issues still, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Joey Green, did you just film a special? Is this going to be out by the time?
When will this be out?
Maybe a few weeks.
Yeah, I reckon it'll be coming out like late July. There hasn't been a date.
Ooh,
but it might coincide with this. So yeah.
And you filmed it at Comedy
Republic.
Yeah. What's it? Do you know? You have a title?
It's probably called What Are the Chances? I mean, it was a show I'd done at the comedy festival, so I'm probably going to call it What Are the Chances?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to plug?
No, that's it. That'll be coming out late July on YouTube. Still in the editing process, which is fun.
How's that?
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
Like, we'll keep talking about it if you want, but it's you learn so much because I'm not an editor and I'm not editing it, but I'm like in the room with Sal.
You're watching the rushes and stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Joey Green, thank you so much for coming on Kickin Gags. This was a blast.
Thanks, brother. Really loved it.
Cheers. All right. What an amazing, incredible, inspiring episode of Kickin Gags. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe to the YouTube channel or, follow us on all the socials and all that sweet stuff that really helps with everything that we do. And you can always catch the latest AFL news at zerohanger.com.au. I've been Phoenix Trinidad. Good night. Goodbye. See you later.